Something very odd is happening with Russia's military leadership. The generals keep disappearing. General Popov, General Moskalik, General Kirillov, General Vorontsov, General Sviridov, General Bulgakov, General Kuznetsov, General Mirzaev, General Shamarin, General Ivanov, General Belyatsky, General Agiyenko. Do you know what all these generals have in common? They are out of the game. Either dead, charged with crime, or sentenced to prison time. Something is very odd here. But the last case, General Moskalik's blown up right next to his apartment in the middle of Moscow a couple days ago, just gives us a hint of what's going on. Howdy everyone, my name is Konstantin, welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. As usual, you will not find any propaganda, BS or lying, will find plenty of common sense, truth and logic, and some emotions too, because I'm a human being. Human being after all. Very interesting live stream today, very interesting message, something that I have discovered just recently, and I want to share with you. But first things first. By saying Russian generals disappearing, I mean the generals are taken out of the game, one way or another. I don't mean mysterious disappearances like general goes fishing, walks into mist, and never to be found again. No. We know what happened to those generals, we know that quite well, but their disappearances sometimes are filled with mysterious circumstances. Okay, now that is out of my way, let's do the generals. The list of the generals who have been sidelined is that I gave you is just off the top of my head. The real list is actually much longer. I gave you the most significant generals, not all of them, but most of them. And of course, there are not as significant generals and high military ranks. They also have been sidelined. I have uncovered an odd process happening in Russia's military leadership. Initially, I was looking into General Yaroslav Moskalik assassination that happened a couple days ago in the middle of Moscow. He was walking out of his apartment building, and a car parked right next to the door blew up. The KGB got onto the case and solved it almost instantly. Just a few hours after the explosion, the suspect assassin was arrested, and miraculously, he admitted his fault, his guilt. As I was investigating Moskalik's death, I ran into information of other generals disappearing, and some cases were known to me. I talked of them previously, a long time ago and some time ago, and some cases were completely surprises. I didn't know about them. Now, I am informed. I stay on top of things Russia. I even go as far as I help to inform others of what's going on in Russia. I select 9 significant news every day and make them available to Patreon of Inside Russia account, available to patrons. So I know a thing or two or three about Russia, and still some disappearances went unnoticed by me. Do you know how I uncovered these cases? I started deliberately searching for arrested or sentenced generals. And all the cases seem to follow the same pattern. The information is there. It's not made secret by the state, but it's made look insignificant and it's buried underneath a myriad of other less important news. So, let me explain what happened to some, not all, but some Russian generals. And at the end, you will see a possible system appearing, not just individual arrests, but a system of arrests. Now start with the most famous disappearance, General Timur Ivanov, the former Ministry of Defense's head Sergei Shoigu had his deputy Timur Ivanov, the deputy minister of defense, and Ivanov was also Shoigu's wallet. Well, the rumors have it. Ivanov was in charge of construction in the Ministry of Defense. He was friends with the oligarchs, quite a few of them, with Putin's press secretary Dmitry Peskov. Their families were friends with each other, and he was friends with other powerful strongmen of Russia. He is rumored to be the richest serviceman in Russia, or perhaps among richest Russians. He is worth to be around 63 billion US dollars. Hey, there were lots of large construction contracts awarded in Russia, for a decade or so when Ivanov was in charge. Ivanov was arrested on 23rd of April 2024, charged with fraud, and is still under investigation. There's much rumors about his arrest, the investigation. Well, I might cover them sometimes later. The former commander of the 58th Army of the Armed Forces of Russian Federation, General Ivan Popov, was arrested on suspicion of fraud in May of 2024. Popov was perhaps Russia's best general. He was known among other generals and among his soldiers. He was loved by the soldiers, and he was living fairly modest life, unlike other generals. He was officially charged with fraud, but the rumors said that he paid the price for criticizing the leadership of the Ministry of Defense. He was a pretty straightforward guy, and at one of the meetings, he stood up and said, "Enough sugarcoating. It's all lies. The truth need to be told. Russian army is not doing that well," and so forth. And then he accused the top leadership, including Gerasimov, in sugarcoating and the truth and serving it to Vladimir Putin. At first, he was fired from his job. They didn't dare to arrest him in July 2023, and he was arrested almost 1 year later. Now, on the 24th of April 2025, General Popov was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The next general is General Sviridov, former commander of the 6th Army of the Air Force and Air Defense. The man responsible for building and maintaining Russia's air defense system. He was in charge of it for a long time. For almost a decade, and it was long before the war started. He died in November of 2023, along with his wife, in his house, under very mysterious circumstances. The couple was just found dead. And the police and the military police, when they show up, they proclaim the death came from the natural gas leak. There was a gas supply to the house, which is normal in Russia, and there was a leak. And then this natural gas company, distribution company, sent its personnel, and they did tests. They found that there was positively no leak, the technicians officially stated, but the investigators put down the cause of death, natural gas leak anyway. General Vadim Shamarin, former deputy head of the general staff and the head of main communication directorate of the armed forces of Russia, was arrested in May 2024 and charged with fraud. Now, Shamarin was one of the most important, most significant Russia's generals at the time. You know, he was in charge during the wartime. He was one of the deputies of Gerasimov. On April 17th, 2025, Moscow Garrison Military Court sentenced Vadim Shamarin to 7 years in high-security prison. A military court in Moscow in November 2024 arrested the deputy head of the supply department of Russian National Guard, Rosguardia, General Mirza Mirzaev. The investigation is still pending, and he's being charged, obviously, with fraud. The head of the main personnel department of Russia's Ministry of Defense, General Yuri Kuznetsov, was arrested in May 2024 on the suspicion of accepting a particularly large bribe, $1 million. He was caught red-handed with it. Kuznetsov was caught with a bribe he supposedly received being the military head of the 8th Directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Russian Federation. See, he was a big deal general. In July 2024, the General of Army, and it's Russia's highest rank, the decorated hero of Russia, the highest honor, was arrested and charged with fraud. What's his name? Shoot. I'm gonna put it down in the description. His name skipped my. I can't think of it. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, a very important guy in the past was arrested, and his investigation is still being pending. It's pending. Ooh, let me take a little break. Now, moving on. General Igor Kirillov, the head of the Radiation, Chemical and Biological Protection Forces of the Russian Federation, was killed in a targeted explosion in Moscow early in November 2024. His assistant died along with him. The bombing was the special operation of Ukrainian Special Forces, they admitted it. One very odd thing, well, two very odd things happened that made me think of something very odd going on. First of all, Russian KGB, the domestic security force, is supposed to guard Russian generals, especially those who are participating in the war with Ukraine, like the most precious thing in Russia right now, right? That just makes sense. And somehow, an acting general, a very important general, gets blown up. Interesting. Nothing happened in the KGB. No one was fired. No one was investigated. Yeah, that's a huge fail, right? And the society kind of didn't talk much about it, as if a few days later, if you were to read Russian media, to listen to Russian media, it was forgotten. That explosion was forgotten, as if nothing happened. There wasn't discussion of what to do next, how to secure the Russian generals, or there wasn't any outrage in Russian society. So that kind of started feeling odd. And it gets better, it gets more odd. But before I get there, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, everyone who is a part of Inside Russia community. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, for commenting, for interacting in the live stream chats. Thank you for the messages with good words, for praying along with me, and for your love. Thank you for buying me coffees at buymecoffee.com, for Patreon, for PayPal. I give you a promise that despite being demonetized by Google for my stand against Russian government, I will continue telling you the truth. You have my word. Thank you. Now, I would like to jump to more recent news. And the kind of news that I missed for some reason. The General Mikhail Vorontsov, the head of National Guards, Rosguardia, Department of Digital Development and Information Security, was arrested on April 25th, just a few days ago. He is charged with embezzlement related to the activities of his department. The case was initiated under the article of fraud of a particularly large scale. A month earlier, Nikolai Chepkasov, the head of Main Informational Technology Center of the Russian Guard, Rosguardia, National Guard, Rosguardia, was also arrested and charged with fraud. And the latest news, the latest explosion killed General Yaroslav Moskalik. And I talked about it a couple days ago in a weekend news update. Not much was known back then, but I found something very odd about the case. Well, actually, two things. The first was the speed at which the crime was solved by the KGB. You see, right after the explosion, KGB opened the investigation, and immediately they learned about the car that was parked and blew up. They learned who it belonged, they learned where the man lived, and just a few hours later, they arrested him, trying to flee Russia to Turkey. They arrested him in one of the airports. Now, what was very odd is usually it takes quite a few hours just for the smoke to settle. Not in this case. And it was very odd why the person who registered car in his own name, the car had been parked for almost a week before the explosion. Okay, so he registered the car in his name. He's known. They know where he lives, who he is, and so forth. So he parks the car, he rigs it with explosives, and it's there for 6 days, and he executes the explosion, the assassination, and then he tries to leave Russia. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. He had quite a few days to leave, and he didn't. Why? Okay, another miraculous thing is he admitted that he was guilty, his fault. He admitted he committed the crime. And at that time, not much was known of the general. And finally, after a couple days, I learned more of the general. And I guess it's a public information. But again, you can find it, but you have to really look for it. Okay, you have to investigate. The armed forces of Ukraine didn't claim Moskalik's death. They're keeping silent. At least I haven't heard them come out and say, well, that's us. We executed this operation. No, so far it's silence, and usually if they do it, they admit right away. So it's odd. And the thing is, the general who was blown up in Balashikh and Moscow, General Moskalik, was responsible for reporting to Putin on the progress of the war in Ukraine. Yaroslav Moskalik deputy head of the main operations directorate of the general staff, who was killed, was responsible for preparing reports for Russia's President Vladimir Putin on the war and delivering them. This is stated in the obituary of the Ministry of Defense, and that's only place where you can find the information of the guy. And it was published in the army newspaper called Krasnaya Zvezda, the Red Star. The ministry clarified that after the outbreak of the war, the Lieutenant General, General Moskalik, supervised the work of the duty shift of the combat control group of the general staff, which monitored the situation in the combat zone. So this man prepared the reports that were delivered to Putin. And we know exactly what was former General Popov was saying of those reports back in 2023, that they were lies. And he paid the price for that. He's sentenced to a very long term in prison. Now, do you still believe that the Ukrainians blew up Moskalik? And obviously that's what Russian media is saying. But Ukrainians are keeping silent, as if they didn't do it. And again, they usually, if they claim the responsibility if they do it. There's no reason for them to hide it, right? But of course it's Ukrainians in the Russian newspapers. That's what they say. But knowing that we know now, do you believe that it's Ukrainians who blew up Moskalik? How fast the murder was solved? How miraculously fast the assassin, or would-be the suspected assassin, admitted his fault? Okay. Now, it seems very odd to me. And I don't believe that's Ukraine behind it. And I think there's another organization, a mighty powerful one, who can just blow up things easily and organize blow-ups like that. There's only one organization I know. If you take these deaths and arrests individually, as they happened, and put them on a timeline, and don't put them on a timeline, just individually, you read about them in the newspaper, and as they happen, you won't see much suspicion. Natural deaths. Crooks getting arrested. Hey, almost everyone is charged with fraud, right? Ukrainians blow up Russian generals. Well, that also happens because there's a war happens, and then the Ukrainians are labeled as terrorists, fascists, Nazis, whatever. What do you expect from Nazis? That's what the Russian media and propaganda says, right? Well, but if you line all those strange disappearances, arrests, deaths, bombings, and put them on a timeline, you will see a different picture. They all seem connected in one way or another. The thing is, all high ranks in the Ministry of Defense are crooks. The system, the military system of Russia, is rigged the way that they all steal, all the officials steal. They cannot not to steal, okay? And only few get caught. And that is hugely suspicious. If you want to get rid of the corruption in the Ministry of Defense, well, you know what? Arrest all generals and all colonels and all majors. Because that's the system. That's not the individuals. Of course, there are exceptions, for example, like General Popov, but there are not too many. Absolute majority of them are crooks. Now, another thing is interesting. If you remember, There were quite a few pieces of news came out in May and in June of 2024 after Vladimir Putin was inaugurated as the president. The Minister of Defense, Shoigu, the former minister, was fired, and well, he was moved to a different position, a nominal position. He was stripped all of his power, and he was replaced with Belousov, a nobody, the guy who hadn't even served in the army. He was made the Minister of Defense. Since he was an economist in the Russian government and, has nothing to do with the military. Since then, Belousov, the Minister of Defense, has been literally nowhere to be seen. We saw him just a couple times, and one of those times was when Ukrainians unexpectedly rolled into Russia and took over a large portion of Kursk province. And Minister of Defense Belousov was so afraid, was so scared and freaked out that the camera was only showing him from his back. Okay? Other than that, he's no one knows where he is, So there is no leadership in the armed forces in Russia. And there is a purge going on that started in May. It's still going on, although not as actively as it started happening in May, but it's still going on. If you put all the deaths and arrests on a timeline, you will see that this is a process. Why? Why would they do that? Who would do that? Who? I don't know. And why? I just have some thoughts. You see, sooner or later, the war in Ukraine will be over. And it is at this point absolutely clear that Russia is falling apart. Literally, economically, it's falling apart. An economy is the foundation. Although Vladimir Putin can claim victory now, courtesy of America, he's still in trouble. And in order to remain in power, he will need to blame someone for the problems. And I talked about it quite some time ago, and I repeat it again. The generals of Russian army are a very good target to blame. It's not Putin's fault, it's the generals' fault. They have failed. Why? Because they're crooks. You see, they were caught red-handed, and they were arrested. Some were sentenced, some investigations are still pending, and some of them are serving time. The criminals, they have been stripped of all their ranks. They're not generals any longer. They're just civilian people. And they're crooks. That's where the problem is in the Russian armed forces, in the leadership. It seems like a very convenient idea for Vladimir Putin, very convenient thing to have, someone to blame. And of course, not just the generals, but the generals are such a good example. Such a good, easy to reach target to blame. And then, believe it or not, but that's not the only series of mysterious deaths in Russia. Don't these disappearances, deaths, arrests remind you of something? They remind me of the deaths of the top managers in the oil and gas industry. And the circumstances are a bit different. It's much harsher in the oil and gas because most people, they're not arrested and charged with corruption and fraud. Instead, they are thrown out of the windows. So they miraculously fly out of windows. Okay, and there is a large number of them, and it seems like the same kind of powerful organization is working in a similar way, only in a different industry, in a different part of Russia, in the military and in parallel in oil and gas. Now, friends, this is what I think. I have found something very odd happening. I'm sharing it with you. I think there is a powerful force working, and it's in the process. It hasn't stopped. We will see more arrests and more deaths. And I want to ask you to share your opinion. What do you think? Are you with me on this? Do you think that it's not coincidences? Or you think they're just individual deaths, arrests, or events? What do you think? Thank you so very much. I would like to finish this message and invite everyone to discuss it in a live stream chat that I'm going to turn on right now. And it's on. If you're not seeing it, please refresh your page. You will see the live stream chat. This is my most favorite part of any live stream, when I turn the live stream chat on and I see so many people flood in the chat room. It means that I am not just in front of a camera talking, but I am among real people who watch me and react. And of course, this is the best community on YouTube, thanks to the moderation team. They are Lorna, Mammy K. She's not with us today, but she's in our hearts. Bob S., Harry Potman, Amir Fazat, and Dirk. Thank you so very much, friends. Thank you. I would like to remind you that we do not discuss American politics here. Not the place. And we are nice to each other. No insults. No full language. Just please be nice. And everyone usually is. Let me just turn the live stream. Okay, there you go. As usual, if you want me to see your message easier and notice it faster, please put it in all caps and put Inside Russia after that sign, so it's highlighted in orange and I see it easier. And if I miss your message, it's not because I ignore you, but because there are so many messages. So please keep on posting if you want it to be seen. Thank you. Just like Leitmotiv did. And hello, the usual suspects. Thank you for yesterday's stream. It was such a great honor, really honored to have you at my birthday party. Thank you so much. There were so many people that came that I hadn't seen for a long time, but they said, "Oh, we're still here, Konstantin. You are the best community. Thank you so much. You're all awesome and you rock." Mr. Kaliskin, howdy. John McLean, the most muscular man of Inside Russia. Ho ho. Bakerstock, good to see you. Long time no see. Jodes, Ronnie, Koshkin Dom, Cougar Town. I believe it's a shadow force behind all strange occurrences. Thank you. I also believe, obviously, I told you, and I feel it. I have a feeling in my gut. It is. Werner Heiko, what about the private armies? Any unplanned firings about their leadership of ownership? You know what? RW, hello, great to see you, friend. Thank you for coming. Werner, this is very odd. This is one of the most closed parts of Russian society. Information about the private armies. There are private armies. There are tons of private armies now in Russia. Gazprom has a private army. Moscow government has a private army. Just about any oligarch has a private army. And the ones who don't, they fall. Remember that oligarch, the first oligarch who was arrested? He had lots of money, but he didn't have a private army. Okay, so it's not advertised, and I'm putting it softly, the information about Russia's private armies. There are bits and pieces of information. You really have to search for them. Just to give you an importance of private armies in Russia, one of them belongs to Sergei Sobyanin, the mayor of Moscow, and that's one of the larger private armies in Russia. So when Sergei Shoigu was being fired from the position of the Minister of Defense, Moscow's private army has moved in, the Sobyanin's private army has moved in and blocked the building, the HQ of Russian armed forces. I kid you not, they blocked it. Okay, for 2 days, it was controlled by the private army, and only it was understood that Shoigu was leaving, departing peacefully, the private army withdrew, because Shoigu had a different private army, GRU Spetsnaz. That was his private army not too long from Moscow, and it's rumored that Spetsnaz GRU can overtake Moscow in a matter of hours. Okay? And it answers directly to the Minister of Defense. So there were lots of concerns because, no one knew what he could have done. But he didn't do anything. I give you this example just to show what is going on in Russia. So I'm keeping my eyes open for the private armies, but I don't have enough material right now to present you. Before Prigozhin's mutiny, there was lots of information in out there in the media. But after the information has been cleared, and it is a taboo now, no one talks about it. Again, I have to look for bits and pieces of information and little pieces of puzzle and put them together. But I'm doing that, so please keep on tuning in. Good question. Again, RW, great to see you. Fantastic to see you. Angela McNaugh, howdy. Pat Scully, Pamela, Lilith Eden, Johnny FL. I take it Florida is in the house, right? Love your streams. Florida loves my streams. Great. Good news. I love Florida. Wolfgang Wimmer, howdy. Guten Abend. Yasin, hello. Tom T. Marco Cat. Okay, my live stream chat window jumped again. I hate when that happens. And I have to look for previous. Bob, thank you for reminding everyone. Yes, we speak English here. Guy, good to see you. Howdy. Sherleaf, hello. Great stream, Constantine. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, it does. Sam the Legend K. If you look right here, if you look closely, it says boss, okay? Because that's Hugo Boss shirt, or is a boss shirt, so it is a boss shirt. The reason I wear boss shirts because they fit my body type very well. The other ones don't fit as well. I don't know what it is about boss shorts. Perhaps if I lose weight, when I lose weight, I will wear different clothing, but now it's boss shorts. It's right here. Seahawk 804, John Richards, howdy. John from Colorado. Sending my love to Colorado. Something tells me John isn't too far from the truth. Peter Vanderhoevel, good, long time no see, good to see you. I think nothing is a coincidence, but what I'm serious about, how long will the army take the blame game in the strangle of President KGB and the army? That's an excellent question, and I have no clue. This is the question I'm asking myself. They are seeing their best. For example, General Popov. He was one of the top, not just generals, but I think he was general major. He was one of the most respected generals. He still was invader. He still gave criminal orders, and he was taking criminal orders. There's no question about that. But if we look inside the Russian army, he was better than the other generals. Okay, and I think if anyone, it would have been him leading the other generals. But hey, look what they've done to Popov. They stripped him of all honors, medals. They've stripped him of his rank. He's nobody now. And the generals in the army, they're just, keeping quiet. I think one of the, there are two reasons for these deaths and arrests: to intimidate the generals and to fragment them, so for they don't have leadership. Okay, and perhaps there's communication with some generals, the ones who are not arrested, and they're told, hey, behave. If you don't, then see what happened to the others who didn't behave. You'll follow their suit, their footsteps. I think that's possible. But again, I'm speculating right now, okay? But you have an excellent question, and I actually thought that the army would not be so patient. I thought that there would be a standoff between the army and Vladimir Putin way long time ago. I would say, like, I think I made live streams about that. Not September. It was late 22 when Russia started getting, losing, like lost Kherson, lost Kharkov, and ran back to Russia in Kharkov. And I thought Putin would start blaming the generals, but things turned out differently. But again, thank you for a very good question, Peter. Kenneth, Spain here. Thank you, Putin, for the blackout. I really haven't learned much about the blackout. I know that's been a blackout, but I have no clue why. You think it's Putin? Everyone in power has a scapegoat to fall back on. Thank you, Wayne. John McLean watched Captain Volkanogov yesterday. It was pretty incredible. It is said that history is repeating itself. John, thank you very much for sharing this. Again, everyone, watch this movie. It's a must. See, it's the best Russian movie, the best ever made. I cried when I watched that movie because my ancestors were killed in a very similar way as shown in the movie. Okay, it shows Russia's dark history, and it's incredible. Just a few years ago, it was made, and it was made with the state funding it. And now, the very same state is trying to erase every single memory of that. Such a huge difference in 5 years. Anyway, John, thank you for sharing this news with us, and everyone, again, please watch this Russian movie. I made a live stream about that not too long ago. Капитан Volkanogov бежал. Captain Volkanogov escaped. Norman Nesio from Sweden, thank you. Christine Moreno, what happens to the families of those arrested or demised generals? Well, I know for sure that the daughter of one of the wife of one of the generals died along with him. Not much is known about the families, but I think that families are not doing well. Again, it's speculation, but I would think that They would punish families in one way or another. Matthew, if they aren't falling out of the windows, then they're not falling out of the windows because they are needed alive. They are needed to blame if there is a blame needed in the future. Okay? They are someone to point the finger to, a live person, and say it's his fault. Ukraine is his fault. Okay? If you're blown up, then, you're only memory. General Moskalkov is different. You see, that guy was providing information to Putin directly, and that's a different story. Okay? He wasn't charged with fraud or anything like that. He was not in charge of contracts in the army. I think he was just doing his job. Now, how well he was doing it, maybe too well, maybe not too well, but the result is he's been blown up. Tony B, is it possible for things to go even more worse in Russia? And pardon me, that's something with my voice today. Tony, my entire channel is only about transformation of Russia. And it's transforming into something ugly and something bad, okay? Economy is landsliding now. Things are really, really bad. So they definitely will get worse. And it's not just going to stop tomorrow, like, a submarine or Titanic sinks and then it hits the bottom, boom, and stays there. No. It will continue going down and down and down. It's going down fast now. This decline will slow down, obviously. Next year, perhaps year after next, but that's going to be very, very bad. Folks, I cannot tell you much enough right now of what I've been hearing lately, just in the last few days. So many people, around 50 people, I'd say 50 to 60 people called me yesterday saying, "Happy birthday, Konstantin," from Russia. And every single one of them, I asked how things are. And every single one of them said, "You know what, they're much worse now." And then they would complain me a lot about their jobs, income, life, what's going on around and stuff like that. Oh, I have so much to tell you in the upcoming streams. So things are getting bad in the economy. And they are pretty darn bad in the military. They're using donkeys instead of tanks. Judge for yourself how well things are. I see more and more videos of soldiers and officers making films and addressing Putin. Vladimir Vladimirovich, please help us. We're being mistreated. We're not being fed. There are no supplies. We don't have any ammo, weapons, things like that. Things are pretty darn bad in my book. Per Haglund from Stockholm, Sweden. Howdy. Marco Cat, do various people snipe out for each other in that purge? That I don't know. I don't know that. Robert from Iowa, USA. Pamela is shutting out to the mods, and I'm doing that. I'm joining Pamela. Thank you. Werner, what about the private armies? Okay, I saw that question. I answered them. Actually, by the way, it's a pretty good example. Werner just posted twice, and I definitely saw the question about private armies. Kermo, howdy. I agree, no individual happenings, something planned, and a cleanup of the bad apples. Not bad apples. I don't think they're bad apples. Everyone out there is a bad apple. Disloyal. Not bad apples, but the disloyal ones. Or there's perhaps suspicion for each one of them that they might turn out to be disloyal. So there's much more to the arrests than we know. Okay, we're just seeing the surface. But all I can forecast is that, I'm sure in it actually, that there is so much more to each arrest. there is a huge story that leads to the arrest. The arrest is just the eruption, you know. Perhaps the arrest is a result of fight of two military power groups, or perhaps the army and the KGB, and perhaps the leadership, you know. And if only we knew this truth, it would be such an interesting story to tell, you know. Perhaps we will know one day. Sally, thank you so much for coming. It seems like this is scapegoating by the KGB. They will have to have some way of explain how poorly the war is going. The KGB is the tool. They're not going to be doing any explanation at all. But the leadership, you know, the Tsar, he will be doing the explanation. And things are heating up right now. Wait for 10 more days. Wait until May 9th. There will be something at the parade. There will be North Koreans. There will be victory declared. There will be an important message for all Russia. Mark my words, double mark them. Aaron, Sonex, happy belated birthday, Constantine. Thank you so very much. Yesterday we had a great birthday live stream. John Richards, I think it's been the KGB. Thank you. RW, still hugs over from your birthday party. Thank you so much. It was fantastic yesterday. Deborah from sunny California. Howdy. Thank you so much to see. Great to see you. Sam the Legend. Thank you. How are we doing on time? 10 more minutes. Thank you, Shirley. Woody. I think this one is very open-ended. Both options are true to some extent, but I haven't seen enough for any conclusion. Hey, you know what? I keep my eyes open. I will keep you informed, and you're right. It is open-ended. Like I said, I thought a couple years ago that things would lay out differently. Things would there would be a clash between the army leadership and Vladimir Putin. There was no clash. But the purge started, okay? The Minister of Defense was fired, and, well, he resigned on paper, but we all understand. And then he was given a different job of not such importance, of course. So, but you're right, so this is an open-ended, and we keep on looking for things. I keep on looking for things. Crazy. Thank you so much for good words. Sally, I'm so sorry I missed the birthday party. Hey, there will be one in 365 days. Aaron Sonex, Gazprom has a private army. I thought you knew. I thought everyone knew. But you know what? That's probably a good idea for a live stream. Private armies. Let me just write it down. Hang on. Of course, my computer needs to update automatically in the middle of a stream. Boy, I have to look hard for the information because they really classified it. Well, not like it wasn't never open, but in the press, in the media, they talked about it. Now they're not allowed to talk about it. That's the difference, but thank you. That Russian rebel isn't an army. Well, I call it the army, and for ordnung's sake, you know, I call it the army. But, Guy, you certainly have a point. People who use donkeys and who provide their own food, can they be called an army? I think after the regime is over, it's changed. A lot of truth will come out about what's going on today, right now, in Russian army. Craig Hughes, interesting as usual. Do you think too many snouts in the true and not enough pigs world to go around calling Colin need to keep the fattest fed. I'll have to translate that. I understand the meaning, but I just want to make sure. Hang on. The pie is definitely shrinking. Okay? They not as much money as before. And the fight for the resources, for the money, and for the power is intensifying. And it has been, and it's going to get hot fairly soon. Terry Carter, thoughts on the renovation of the bioweapons facility east of Moscow? Which one? Terry, my take on these things, if they really want to renovate or build a bio facility that is top secret, they will build it in secrecy and we will not know. If it's in the press, if it's in the media, if it's talk of the town, then most likely they're making it open information with a purpose. Okay, that's what I think. A good example, about 10 years or so, Vladimir Putin had a meeting with top military leadership, and it was televised, and they were reporting on the new weapons. And the camera caught a document, a piece of paper with a submarine called Poseidon. Okay, and it, you could read it. It was in the corner, but everyone noticed. And they were saying, Vladimir Vladimirovich, we have this brand new weapon that is top secret, that can blow up anyone, that create a tidal wave and destroy the cities, coastal cities. And at the same time, the camera is showing this new weapon, right? And I mean, obviously, it was designed that way to be shown. Okay, and that was a tour de force, so to speak, the presentation of force. Okay, so if you heard of bioweapon facility being renovated east of Moscow, most likely it's not true. Or perhaps it's some kind of a facility that they're trying to make it look like bio. But that's not the bio facility to be afraid of. The real stuff, they build deep inside taiga, unreachable, very hard to reach, there was a secret facility in the USSR in one of the islands in the Caspian Sea. Oh, I'm sorry, not Caspian, Aral Sea, okay? And no one knew about that until Aral Sea dried up and that island became reachable by foot and by car. Okay, that's when people learned that there was a bio facility, super secret bio facility in the USSR. All right, so I don't believe in this bioweapon facilities not too far from Moscow that everyone is talking about. How come I got unsubscribed, although I follow you since you left Russia? Look, I don't know. I'm telling you, YouTube is cooking something against me. It's not monetizing me. I'm still demonetized, and now it unsubscribes people randomly, or not randomly, or target some people to unsubscribe me. So, and friends, it's unsettling, and it hurts, and it's scary, because what if YouTube shuts me down? I lose everything. I lose the community. I lose the voice. I lose a way to reach out to people. I lose income, among other things. I'm afraid more for a voice than for an income, but because I feel this is a very unique platform, and my situation is very unique. I'm sitting here and I'm going against Russia today, and I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you things that are very opposite of Russia today, and then I debunk their lies. And Russia today has tens of thousands of people working, and I'm just by myself, okay? But my voice is heard. Where else can I find this opportunity? Nowhere. And YouTube is working against me, so it hurts, and it's scary, and it's disturbing, and there's not much I can do. Not much. Marco Cat, donkeys with machine guns? No, no donkeys with machine guns. No machine guns, just donkeys. By the way, there's a new footage. I'm gonna show it on Friday. I saw them using a tractor, a regular tractor, instead of a tank. That's the current state of the Russian army. Leitmotif: other competent people to replace generals? Thank goodness, no. Huh? Bob, I saw a video a few weeks ago that said the May parade in Moscow was being cancelled. I'm willing to make a bet. It not will be cancelled. Paul King, is Russia still the land of Lenin, as the national anthem says? The national anthem of Russia does not say it's the land of Lenin. That was the USSR. The words are different. And Lenin is not mentioned. Is this the land of Lenin? Was never the land of Lenin, That was just a symbol. G ZP. I'm sorry, I'm bad with names. How is Russia considering Finland now? It seems they're preparing attack in propaganda, at least. P.S. Love the channel. You do great work. Thank you so much. Russia is considering Finland not as a neutral state, not as a friend anymore, but as a member of NATO. At first, when Finland decided to join NATO and submitted a bid along with Sweden, Russian leadership was shocked, Putin was shocked, everyone was shocked. And then Finland was always a friendly country, at least for Russia, and Putin talked to the Finnish president back then, and they said, you know what, we don't mind Finland joining NATO. We don't see it as a threat. And that was the initial reaction. Well, they don't like Ukraine to become NATO because they say, well, it's right next to the border of Russia, but they don't mind Finland becoming, part of NATO. It's right next to St. Petersburg. But anyway, since then, the tone has changed. And Finland is considered one of the unfriendly countries, part of NATO, one of the enemies, part of Europe. No good. No good. Satanists, Trying to take on Russia, trying to steal Russian land, trying to take Russian sovereignty and so forth, So you are part of Europe now, and Europe obviously now are neo-Nazis. America, oh, that's different. That's good guys. The great country, the great president. What's an unfortunate coincidence, unfortunate event that our relationship with America was placed on pause in 2022, but now it's getting back to normal. So America, Satanists, we never said that. But here are videos. Oh, no, what's not? No, we never said that. Europe is the bad guy now. Europe turned out to be neo-Nazis. We didn't know about that, but boy, we know now. So that's what they think of Finland. Tony, see that you talk about Russian economy. There's plenty of talk. Keep on coming back. On Thursday, I will do a live stream about Russian economy, and it's going to be a good one. Does economy rely solely or majority on the war industry? Can this war industry push whole Russia forward for a long time? Russia is going backwards now. It's not even pushing forward now. Russian economy is in decline. It's a recession, so that's gonna get worse. Thank you. Terry Carter, thank you so much for warm wishes. Now a couple more minutes. I see that we're running out of time. T. Bled, thanks for standing with Free World. Well, thank you. That's who I am. I'm just being true to myself. Thank you so much. Kedmon, Russia never considered Finland as a friendly state. Well, I beg to differ. Russia was neutral. It was also the country that helped to negotiate with the West during the height of the Cold War. It was always the country that Russia bought things from. It was never considered unfriendly in the USSR. It was considered fairly neutral. And in Russia, the country warmed up to Finland after the USSR was destroyed. The Finnish companies moved into Russian market. I worked for a Finnish company called Sweco. It's a Swedish, no, it's a Scandinavian engineering holding. And my company, we decided to partner with Sweco, and we created a joint venture. Sweco Russia. Well, it's a different name, but I just don't want to say it. But it was Sweco was part of this company's name, and we worked together with Sweco as a joint venture on different projects in Russia. So I worked with a Finnish office. There was a Swedish office and a Finnish office. And the company decided to leave Russia after, in 2017. So we bought Sweco's share out, and we became the sole owner of the company. But it used to be a joint venture, and I worked with the Finns. I worked on numerous projects in Russia, and trust me, I know it was not considered unfriendly. Friendly at least. Craig Hughes, given the world economies are facing downturns, tariffs, etc., how can Russian economy survive? It cannot. It will not. It has been landsliding for since the start of this year. In the previous 3 years, it was a preparation, forerunner for the landslide. Okay, it was a decline. Now it's landsliding, and it's going into the abyss that it will have very hard time to getting from, if it ever gets from that abyss. Okay, so help order, your YouTube demonetization of serious presenter strikes me as a self-destructive, labeling selves as puppets long term. It's a trust issue. Well, you're right, but that's gonna take more YouTubers and then much longer term, because YouTube is still a juggernaut. Friends, I would like to Ole, no super chat anymore. I'm demonetized. Yeah, I can't make money off YouTube, so no super chats. Internet person, Estonia looks like it's ready to protect Narva. Any thoughts? No thoughts. I think that Estonians, Latvians, Lithuanians are very courageous people. They went through a lot with the USSR. Now they are going through a lot with Russia. And I hope that if something happens, they protect their land, their families, their children. So I know plenty of Lithuanians, Latvians, and Estonians. I like them, great people. Like I said, courageous, straightforward, like to drink, like to have fun. Um, Friends, I am wrapping up. Invite everyone to join, to pray along with me. Please join me. I have a list of people I'd like to pray for, and as usual, we'll start with a general prayer. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so very much for giving us this day. Thank you for the food you placed on our tables and for roofs you've given above our heads. Thank you for our families, the loved ones that you've surrounded us with. Thank you for our children. Please give us wisdom to keep our children's skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Please give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow up, they will never fight in any wars. We'll just make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. The country and its people have suffered so much. They deserve peace, they deserve happiness, they deserve normal life. Please help Ukraine to get the normal life back, to get peace back. Please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible tragedy, answer their prayers, make their wishes come true, and reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible for the war and for the decision to stop it. Wake them up from their lethargic sleep and make them aware of what they have done. Have them stop the war. Have them make that decision to stop the war. And dear Lord, please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords and have Saint Michael lead them down to this earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked Russia. Demons who we know by their names and by their names and by their faces. Please send your angels to help good Russian people to run their country, to make it peaceful, loving, and respecting. Help everyone who is in danger, in any kind of danger right now. Please send safety. Help those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Help those who are seeking for asylum, running from evil. Send them safety, send them asylum. Help those single mothers and fathers who are struggling, trying to raise their children, trying to make ends meet. Please help those who are helping Ukrainians and help those Ukrainians who are currently under attacks from Russian missiles and planes and rockets and tanks. Send everyone safety. Dear Lord, please help those who are hungry, sick, cold, addicted, homeless, jobless, depressed, going through divorce, crying, feeling betrayed, feeling alone, left alone, deserted. Reach out and touch the heart of every person in need and fill his or her heart with warmth and love. Please help everyone in need. Dear Lord, thank you so much for allowing us to come together and pray. Thank you for everyone who's praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. Dear Lord, I have a few people who need your help and I'm asking for them. Please help Greg, who is in the hospital right now. Send good and right doctors to make him feel better, to assist him, and send your angels to help him heal, and so he goes home healthy to be with his family. Give him strength and send him recovery, please. Please help Ron Bazoit, Teresa, Jeff, Karsten, Janice Burgess, Rose, Albert Bronicky, Lorna, Danielle, Ann Larson and Hannah, Jeffrey S. and family, Katharina Holm, Alex, Mark, Hank's sister, who Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Highwayman, Lisa Kumrian, Harry, Terry Carter, John McLean, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason Carney, Susie Mailer, Tim, Dory, Rhonda McGillis, John, Taylor, Wayne, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, David, Porter, and everyone in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron Klotzer, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra Olson, Joseph, Melissa, Jodes, Millie, Philip Radcliffe, Derek Martinez, Jeff Gibson, Daniela Fromm, and help everyone who is in pain right now, in the hospital, scared. Please send recovery and send strength to everyone who's not feeling well and their families. Thank you so much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. This has been a fantastic time. I enjoy these live streams. I enjoy your company. I think you're awesome and you rock. Don't forget that. And I will give you a news update tomorrow. Please come back. I hope you like it. I'll do my best so you like it. And before I sign off, I would like to ask you to say out loud as you can, the usual, along with me. Carthago delenda est.